Hey everybody, it's Rob Jolliffe with Sabre Limited, and we're here for another expert tip, this time on the reason you might want to avoid an on-premise ERP system. Okay, so these are some reasons you might want to avoid an on-premise ERP system. I know a lot of manufacturing ERP systems are on-premise. Probably the vast majority of them. Not very many of them have moved to the cloud. So a lot of people are interested in understanding why or what the benefits of an on-premise ERP system is. Let's talk about that a little bit. I'm Rob Jolliffe. Just to start things off, I'm an expert in Microsoft Dynamics Business Central, and I'm a manufacturing ERP expert as well. A couple of assumptions before we begin. I'm assuming you're a manufacturing company that's watching this video. If you're not, I think a lot of what I'm going to talk about is applicable, but my expertise is in manufacturing. And the second thing is you're looking at a mid-market ERP. You're not looking at an SAP or an Oracle, and you're not looking at something that gets added to QuickBooks or Sage 50. If after watching this video you're interested in having a chat with me, before I dive in, I just want to say that there's a link to my calendar in the description of the video. This gives me the opportunity, if you select something from my calendar and you put in a little description of what you want to talk about, it gives me some time to set aside and be prepared for having a conversation with you. It's an excellent way to have a quick talk with me. There's no obligation. I just love to hear your questions or comments about the videos that I post. Now, getting into why this video. Often what happens is I'm talking to somebody within an organization that is interested in a cloud solution, and they're trying to explain to the other members of the team why an on-premise solution isn't a very good choice. And these are some of the examples that I give them so that they can explain that to their team. There are times, and I have another video on when you might actually want to avoid a cloud ERP system. There are reasons why you might need to avoid one. But this video is more focused on those who have decided they do want to get a cloud ERP system, but they need to sell it to some other people in the organization. So let's jump in. Here are my reasons to avoid an on-premise ERP system. And just a quick definition, an on-premise ERP system means that you're hosting it on your own hardware with your own servers, and you bought it and you put it on premise. So it's in your facility. Now, it could also mean that you've bought a piece of ERP software and you're having it hosted for you by somebody and they're hosting it in their own systems. That's still an on-premise ERP system. What distinguishes on-premise ERP systems from cloud ERP systems is that the hosting company is not patching it for you. And we'll get into this in a little bit more detail. But if you do have an on-premise ERP system with a vendor that is going to patch it for you as part of the program that you're subscribed to, that changes some of the dynamics of this. But let's get into the reasons. So, multiple locations. I think this is one of the bigger reasons why you might need to avoid running your own on-premise ERP system in your own on your own hardware, because you have multiple locations and you need to have redundant internet, electricity, and a failover capability on those computers, and that could be very, very expensive. I think a lot of companies who are getting on-premise systems look at them only from the point of view of I'm going to buy the minimum requirement for hardware configuration that will run my on-premise ERP system, but they're forgetting that if that system goes down for a few days, it can be enormously expensive. So to have a proper failover with proper server configuration, it could be easily $100,000, and that doesn't include electricity backup. If you want to have a power generator that'll kick in, then you're probably looking at another $50,000 to have that configured to work with servers and specifically designed for servers. The failover capability, that's that $100,000 solution where you have multiple servers with redundant backups and the ability to fail over to each other. So you're getting into really, really expensive environments, and cloud vendors just inherently include all of this capability. So you're essentially not having those capital costs. So getting into the hardware costs again, this is another reason to avoid on-premise, because you have to buy those servers. So regardless of whether you have all the redundancy and the power and electricity backup and the multiple internet systems, you also have to buy servers, and you have to replace them with some frequency. So you're in the business essentially of running an IT company to a degree. if you're going to have your own servers and your own on-premise ERP system. So you have to be prepared for those costs. And the cost of the servers themselves, a lot of companies stop at that cost, and they don't include the cost of monthly maintenance of the servers. In my experience, I recommend that you budget about $150 to $175 per server for maintenance. Now, in today's terms, a server is not the hardware that's sitting on the rack or on a shelf. The server is actually the software that's running a Windows server or a Linux server environment. And you may have one physical server with 3 or 4 virtual servers on it. Each virtual server needs that maintenance contract. So you're looking at, for a typical ERP, 2 maintenance contracts for 2 ERP servers. One is running the SQL and the other one is actually running the server itself. Now, another part of the costs of hardware, which a lot of people don't take into account, is the fact that a lot of the on-premise ERP systems require really high-end hardware on the PCs. So you can't run them on low-end PCs and desktops. You need to have high-end equipment to run that ERP system because it's a client server, which means that the client does a lot of the calculations and the server is just hosting the data. So just keep that in mind. A lot of companies look at just the server costs. They don't look at the PC costs, and they're buying a PC that's quite a bit more expensive than what you could get away with a cloud system. Now, that being said, you might have other software that you need powerful PCs for. You might have CAD systems and things like that. So take that with a grain of salt. Now, there is a cost to upgrading an on-premise server and the ERP system itself that doesn't exist with a cloud system. The cloud systems are generally upgraded and updated by the vendor, whereas the ERP systems that are on-prem, you're responsible for upgrading them. And what ends up happening is a lot of companies just don't upgrade their on-prem system. They just leave it at the version that they purchased, and they go 5, 10 years sometimes even longer, with a very, very old version of ERP, which causes them a lot of problems. So there's a cost to that. There's an opportunity cost of not having the newest features, which is why eventually you upgrade to a new ERP. But in the meantime, you've lost the incremental benefits of all the minor upgrades. So unless you're willing to pay to have those minor upgrades done, you're losing the benefit. And on-prem servers inherently cause companies to delay that and not do it, which I think is a problem. So that missing upgrades, that upgrade avoidance, is actually a cost to having an on-prem server, because you're not getting the newest and greatest all the time. You're getting a new one when you get it, but then it's gradually getting older and older. And I'd say this as well. In our experience, even when we're implementing, and we try and be very progressive in this way, often when we're training and implementing the customer, the version that we're training and implementing them on is what they go live on. And that usually takes 6 months to a year to train and implement a system. So you're probably using a 6-month-old version when you first start. And by the time you go live, it's between a year and a half old. Whereas if you're in cloud, even during the implementation process, it gets upgraded by the vendor and you're always on the newest version. Backups and cybersecurity, I think, are a major reason why people are avoiding on-prem today. There's been a lot of problems with cybercrime that is hitting the on-prem servers of clients and taking out their ERP system. I've had several clients where I've talked to them afterwards. Sometimes they're active clients of ours, and sometimes they become clients of ours later, usually the latter. But the clients have been hit by a cyber attack and they've lost their on-prem system. I have other clients that had cloud systems and they were hit by cyber attacks and other systems were taken out, but their cloud system continued to work. So cloud is much more protected against cyber attacks and disasters of various types. So the last, or second last bullet, I believe, on this reasons to avoid on-prem is that there's a very high upfront capital cost to an on-prem ERP. You typically, although you can occasionally get a subscription on-prem, we provide that for clients who are interested. When you're getting an on-prem ERP system, you're typically spending a lot of money on the software up front, and then the bundled training that goes with it, and you get a very, very large upfront cost. when you're going with cloud solutions, you typically have a very low upfront cost for the cloud software itself, and then the training probably is the same. The training cost is the same as an on-prem system would be, but that would be almost half of what the cost would be of a on-prem system plus the training versus a cloud system plus the training, because you're incrementally buying the cloud solution. And this means that you can cancel a cloud solution, but you cannot cancel an on-prem. Once you've paid the money for an on-prem system, you own it. That's it. As soon as you've bought a software license from a company, it is non-refundable. There are no software products on earth that are refundable. But subscription products, cloud products, are refundable because essentially they just turn it off on you and you can't access it. Whereas when you have an on-prem system and you've paid for it, doesn't matter if you stop using it or if you bought too many users or if you bought modules you don't really need after you've started using it, or you have a seasonal business where at various times of the year you're busier and other times of the year you're not so busy. You cannot turn those licenses back in, and you must always buy up to the top number of users that you're going to have. So on-prem systems can be quite difficult from that point of view, and a lot more risky. So as always, hope you enjoyed this video. You can check the links in the description for other videos that we're recording and releasing. We try and release videos really frequently. And for that reason, we really would love it if you could subscribe and follow our channel. We have new videos. We're hoping to have them out every week. Please click on the subscribe button on the channel and make sure you follow us. Click the bell icon to be notified of new videos. So thank you. If you'd like to reach out to us and contact us, we're at www.sabrelimited.com. You can email us at sales@sabrelimited.com. You can find me on LinkedIn at /IN/Rob Jolliffe. And again, my calendar is in the description, and you can please book an appointment if you'd like to have a quick call and chat with me to discuss this video or any of the other ones I record. Thanks very much. Hope you have a great day.